Hello again, my friends, all over planet Earth, wherever you are. Today I'm going to make a juice with two of my favorite greens. French sorrel not only cleanses every gland in your body, it will sweeten up any juice. And dandelion greens, which are chock full of minerals and other nutrients, but dandelion greens tend to make a juice very bitter. But when combined with French sorrel, the juice is always very sweet. Let's look at the rest of my ingredients. In addition to the dandelion greens and the French sorrel, I have carrots, of course, one medium-sized beet with the top, ginger, a half a head of garlic, one avocado pit, and I'll bet you didn't know you could juice avocado pits, 100 grams of turmeric, and let's start making some juice. And I'm going to start with the beet greens. Now the first thing I'm going to do is plug in my thermometer and put in 3 ice cubes to cool down my cutter and my feed tube. And then I'm going to start with the beet greens. Now even though I'm using the Near Zero Blowback cutter, always keep your feed tube covered. And feed your produce in. Do not drop it in. Oh, this cutter's doing a beautiful job on the beet greens. Things like beet greens and celery tend to be very fibrous, and so do dandelions. So let's put some dandelions in next. The regular cutter, that feed tube would jam up. So now we'll switch to some French sorrel. Now greens tend to be very, very fibrous, so I'm going to pull out my grid, clean it on both sides, and then I'm going to feed in 3 ice cubes to cool down the cutter because we're already up over 30 degrees centigrade. 3 more ice cubes. Remember to push your ice cubes through very slowly because you want the cold to transfer to the feed tube in the cutter, not shoot all the way through. So more French sorrel. Another little tip, every time you put in ice cubes, be careful to cover your feed tube because ice cubes tend to clear out your chute and you will get a blowback no matter what cutter you're using. So let's continue with more French sorrel. Here's the last of my greens. Now after doing the last of my greens, I'm going to put in 2 carrots and then clean the grid. Now normally I would do the greens with the J grid, which has larger holes, but I forgot this time, and I did my greens with the number 2 grid, or the 1/8 inch holes, and it still did a good job. The Near Zero Blowback cutter is doing an excellent job on greens. Now that we've cleaned the grid, I'm going to finish with the rest of my carrots. Remember to keep the feed tube covered and feed in your produce. Don't drop it in. More carrots. We're up to 20 I'm down to the last of my carrots. And I want to remind you again that there's always a plug of produce in here, usually a carrot, whatever you push through last. So I'm going to put some pulp in here and force that last plug through so that everything is shred. Next, I'm going to clean the grid holder, the cutter, and the feed tube, mix my produce, and make some juice. Your next step is to thoroughly mix your carrots with your greens and other ingredients. Whenever you have carrots in your mix, you do not need to use a bamboo liner or any other kind of liner. Next, I'll peel open these frozen claws that I just got out of the freezer. And then we will start making some juice. We keep the claws in the freezer because germs cannot grow in the freezer. And no airborne contaminants in the freezer. And of course, put it in a plastic bag inside the freezer. Okay, here we go. Now, here's a little tip. Pull your collection container over the edge of the countertop so that your claws, when they're hanging over, do not touch the countertop. You never know how clean that countertop is, so 3 heaping spoons full of pulp, and you fold your claws into thirds, as tight a package as possible. And I'm going to set this aside because I want to do 2 cloths full of pulp at one time. And here's my less work 6 cloth method. This goes forward, this goes over, and the spent cloths go on top. 2 more cloths in the tray, centered left to right, centered front to back. You notice how I can reach in there and adjust it all the way back, back it off. Now there's 2 methods for the less work 6 cloth method. If there's a puddle of juice in your collection bowl, take your pulp, crush it up, and put it in the puddle to absorb that extra juice. And continue. 3 spoons in an empty cloth. Pull it into a tight package, set it aside. The second less work 6 cloth method is to leave the pulp in the cloth. Do not throw it away and put only 2 scoops on top. And advance it all the way when you're on your last cloth. Pull it into a tight package, turn it over, flatten it. Pull this forward, this goes over, your spent cloths go on top. Again, 2 cloths centered left to right, centered front to back, reach in and adjust it if you can, all the way back it off a little bit, and continue. Pull this forward, this goes over, the spent cloths go on top, and remember to always keep your eye on the bowl. It's very, very full, so we're not going to make more juice, we're going to put that into bottles. And I'm going to set my tray back so it doesn't drip on my countertop, but not a little, a lot. You want it to be very, very obvious so that you don't forget. If you put it back a little bit, you will forget, believe me. Put it back a lot, and let's put this into bottles. And let's make some more juice. All right, we'll pull the tray forward, put 2 more cloths in the tray, centered left to right, centered front to back. You notice how I can reach in there and adjust it all the way back it off a little bit, and continue. Let's turn that on. Now this patty is very thick, so I'm only going to put 1 spoonful of pulp. Turn it over, flatten it, set it aside. It looks like we only have enough pulp for 1 more cloth, so we'll put all of that in there. Over. Pull this forward, pull that over. Put that on top, and 2 more cloths in the tray. Center, front to back, left to right, all the way back it off. Now I'm going to form this into a tighter package to show you how the Whole Health Foundation premium model juicer can make over 10% more juice. So we'll pull this spent pulp into a tighter package. And I want to point out my folding technique. I'm folding the cloth under several times, as many times as I can. And I'm going to do that in both directions. Flatten it, set it aside, do the same thing with this cloth. Advance that all the way when I'm on my last cloth. Now you'll notice I have 3 double packets of repackaged pulp. I'm going to set this aside and use a measuring beaker to see how much more juice we can get by pressing the spent pulp again in a Whole Health Foundation premium model juicer. So I'll put this right in the center, centered left to right, centered front to back. Get it right in the center. It's very, very important to center it all the way back, and when I get juice flow, I'm going to back that off. Back it off a little bit. You do not want that to go up too fast. That's a little bit more, and then on the way. There's about 8 ounces, so let's put our last 2 cloths in there. Repackaged cloths. Centered left to right, centered front to back. It's very, very important to get it exactly centered, especially when you do the repackaged cloths. Well, so far from this packaged juice, I have 18, approaching 19 more ounces of juice, but my container's full, so I'm going to stop. And I'll pour this into my collection bowl and pour it into more bottles. So from this batch of juice, I've got 9 bottles of juice plus enough for a taste test. And I'm going to top this off with filtered water. From this small batch of juice, I got 9 bottles, and remember, one of these, a little more than one, was from pressing the repackaged spent pulp, and I have enough left over for a taste test. So let's do a taste test. Well, there you have it, my friends. Mostly French sorrel and dandelion greens with carrots, turmeric, ginger, garlic, and 1 medium-sized beet. Let's taste it. I definitely taste the French sorrel, and there's a little bit of a bite from the dandelion. Well, I hope you like what you've seen. Another video using the Near Zero Blowback cutter to shred greens and make a small batch of juice. If you like what you've seen, please tell a friend. And if you'd like to call me, my phone number is 760-753-0321. My email address is developtrust@cox.net, and my webpage is wholehealthfound.com. Here's to your health.